Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Koala English Podcast. I'm Anthony.
Hi, Anthony. Hi, everyone. I'm Samantha. It's great to be here.
It's wonderful to have you back, Samantha. And to all our amazing listeners, thank you so much for joining us today.
Today, we're going to talk about the 4 stages of a man's love and how relationships can change over time.
Before we begin, if you enjoy learning English with us, please subscribe to the Koala English Podcast channel.
Yes, your support helps us make more useful episodes and reach more learners around the world.
Subscribing keeps you updated with new lessons every week.
So don't forget to click the like, share, and subscribe button, and let's learn English together.
Now, let's begin.
You know, Samantha, relationships can feel incredibly intense at the beginning, almost overwhelming in the best way. And then somehow, over time, that feeling changes.
That's so true. At first, everything feels exciting. Even small things feel special. But later, it can become quieter and sometimes a little confusing.
Absolutely. And many people wonder about that shift. They ask themselves, did something go wrong, or did the feelings disappear?
Yes, I think a lot of people feel uncertain at that point.
But what if nothing is actually wrong? What if that change is not a problem, but a natural process?
So you're saying there's a deeper explanation behind all of this?
Yes. Today we're going to explore the 4 stages of a man's love and how biology, especially hormones, plays a role in shaping each stage.
I really like this idea. It feels like we're going to understand relationships in a more calm and logical way.
That's the goal. And by the end of this episode, you might start to see love not just as a feeling that comes and goes, but as something that develops and grows over time.
Let's begin with the first stage. Why does everything feel so exciting at the start?
That initial stage is driven by a powerful chemical called dopamine.
Dopamine, the feel-good hormone?
Yes, but here's something many people don't realize. Dopamine is not strongest when he has the relationship.
Oh, then when is it strongest?
During the chase, when he is pursuing you, thinking about you, planning how to see you again, that's when dopamine is most active.
So the excitement is not about having, it's about wanting?
That's a beautiful way to put it. Every small interaction, sending a message, making you laugh, remembering something you like, creates a sense of reward in his brain.
That explains why everything feels so intense. Even simple things feel meaningful.
Yes, because everything is new, unpredictable, and full of possibility.
But then, why does that feeling change?
Because dopamine thrives on novelty. When things become familiar and predictable, the brain no longer experiences the same level of excitement.
So that cooling off feeling isn't rejection.
Not at all. It's simply the relationship moving into a new stage. If the connection continues, the relationship moves into stage 2.
What changes in this stage?
Now, testosterone becomes more influential. This stage is less about excitement and more about proving value.
What does proving value mean in a relationship?
It means he wants to show that he is capable, reliable, and worthy of being with you.
So this is when he tries to impress you.
Yes, but not only in a superficial way. You might notice he talks about his achievements, his goals, or tries to help you solve problems.
Ah, like when you share something stressful and instead of just listening, he gives advice.
Exactly. For him, solving the problem is a way of showing care and competence.
So even if it feels different from what we expect, it's still an expression of love.
Yes, and there's something even deeper. When he invests effort, he becomes more emotionally connected.
Because he worked for the relationship?
That's right. Effort creates value. The more he gives, the more meaningful the relationship becomes to him. Now the relationship shifts again, this time inward.
So it becomes less about actions and more about feelings.
Yes, more about emotional connection. This stage is driven by oxytocin.
The bonding hormone.
Exactly. This is where trust begins to deepen and the relationship becomes more emotionally secure.
How can someone recognize this stage?
He starts to open up. He shares personal thoughts, worries, past experiences, things he wouldn't tell just anyone.
So vulnerability becomes a sign of trust.
Yes, it shows he feels safe with you, not judged, not pressured, just accepted.
That feels very different from the excitement of the first stage.
It is. It's quieter, but much deeper. It's no longer about impressing, it's about being real.
That sounds like where true connection begins.
When we step back and look at all four stages together,
It really shows that love is not just one feeling, it's a journey.
that's right. It begins with excitement, moves into effort, then deepens into emotional connection, and finally becomes commitment.
So that intense beginning is just the first chapter.
Absolutely. It's not the whole story, it's just where the story starts.
So, how can we use this understanding in our daily lives?
First, don't panic when the excitement changes.
Because it might mean the relationship is growing, not ending.
Exactly. Second, learn to recognize different ways of expressing care.
Like offering solutions instead of just listening?
Yes. And third, focus on depth, not just intensity.
Because real connection is not always loud. Sometimes it's quiet and steady.
That's beautifully said.
It really makes relationships feel less confusing and more meaningful.
Let's take a moment to bring everything together and turn it into something simple you can remember in your daily life.
Yes, I like that. Something clear and easy to understand.
All right, here's a short checklist,
But this time, don't just listen. Try to really connect with it.
I'm ready.
First, the intense excitement at the beginning is just the starting point.
So that strong spark, it doesn't mean it will stay the same forever?
Absolutely. It's natural for that feeling to change as the relationship grows. Second, effort creates value.
You mean when someone tries to impress or help, it actually deepens their feelings?
Yes, the more effort he invests, the more meaningful the relationship becomes to him.
That's interesting. Love grows through action, not just feelings.
Third, real connection comes from emotional safety.
So when someone opens up and shares their thoughts, that's a very important sign.
It is. That's when the relationship moves beyond attraction into trust.
That feels deeper and more real.
And fourth, and this is the most important,
I'm listening.
love becomes lasting when it turns into we, not just me.
So when someone starts thinking about the future together, that's when things become serious?
That's right. It shows a shift toward commitment and partnership.
That's simple, but when you really think about it, it explains so much.
Yes, it helps us understand that love isn't just a feeling, it's a journey.
And each stage has its own meaning, its own purpose.
Simple ideas, but they can completely change how we see relationships. So now, maybe we won't judge a relationship too quickly.
Yes, we might start to understand it more patiently and more deeply.
Because love is not just a feeling, it's a process that grows over time.
And once you understand that, things become much clearer.
You become more aware, more understanding, and more confident.
Not just in relationships, but in how people express love.
So here's a final question for you.
Looking at these 4 stages,
Which stage do you think your relationship is in? And what does it tell you? So, take a moment to think about this. At the beginning, you might have believed that love is just a feeling, something that appears suddenly and stays the same.
yeah, like if the feeling changes, something must be wrong.
But now things feel a little different. Not because love has changed, but because your understanding of it has deepened.
That's true. And that small shift, just realizing that love develops in stages, can make everything feel much clearer.
Imagine this. You're thinking about a relationship, maybe your own or someone close to you.
You remember the beginning, the excitement, the energy, the constant attention.
Before, that might have felt like the most important part. But now,
You pause and you start to see something more.
you realize that the excitement was just the first step.
That the effort, the actions, the way someone tries to show their value, that matters too.
And then something even deeper appears.
Moments of honesty, vulnerability, quiet connection,
And finally,
a feeling of stability, of we instead of just me.
And suddenly, love doesn't feel confusing anymore. It feels like a journey.
A process that grows step by step in its own time.
That's what understanding feels like. Not expecting everything to stay the same, not rushing the process, just recognizing that each stage has its own meaning.
And maybe next time something changes in a relationship, instead of worrying,
You'll ask yourself, is this just a new stage?
and maybe you'll even start thinking in English too. Simple thoughts, like, he is trying to show he cares. This is a deeper connection. We are building something together.
That's how learning becomes real, not just through vocabulary, but through understanding real life, real emotions.
So wherever you are right now, whether you're thinking about love, relationships, or even your own experiences,
Remember, love is not just about how it starts. It's about how it grows.
and every stage, even the quiet ones, has its own beauty.
So take your time, stay patient,
And don't judge a relationship too quickly.
because sometimes the most meaningful part of love,
Is not the beginning.
but what comes after. Ember. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Koala English Podcast.
And we'd love to hear from you. Which stage of love do you think is the most important to you?
Tell us in the comments, even in simple English.
We're learning together, step by step.
See you in the next episode.
Take care and keep growing.